Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel for our Antepost series episode 2. We're on episode 2 of the series now. We've been going for a couple of months. If you don't know about the Antepost series, we do this once a month leading up to the Cheltenham Festival. Usually we have about sort of 10 selections leading into the festival prior to our official Cheltenham preview. I'm sure details of that can't be too far away. Jack and I will be in the process of planning that in the next few weeks. But look, we've got no racing this week, and we've had 2 weekends now with no weekend preview. We don't really want to have to dig up some all-weather horses to try and find you wins if we don't feel like we can find you any. And Jack, it has been disappointing, and I think a lot of attention during that time with a lot of the media has turned towards Cheltenham and horses and all the stories and stuff like that. I mean, what have you been focusing on the last 2 weeks? What have you done on your weekends with no racing?
I've been trying to work as much as possible, if I'm being honest. It's been a bit depressing. At least the World Cup's been on, which has been able to kind of take away from the lack of racing. But to be fair, I've been watching a little bit of all-weather racing as well, which has been good fun. But that's about it, really.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have Lingfield and Chelmsford on ITV this Saturday. Unfortunately, no long walk hurdle at Ascot, but it has been moved to Boxing Day at Kempton, which is great to see that the Grade 1 did get rescheduled. Right, we're going to go through these. Jack and I've got 2 selections each. I'll run through one, then Jack will run through one, and then we'll do our final selection. So far on the series, if you have been watching, Jack's put up Hermes Allen at 12-1 for the Ballymore and Chemical Energy for the National Hunt Chase at 10-1. And I've put up Botox Has, really rogue shout of Gary Moorhorse. We'll be talking more about one of those in a second, at 66-1 for the Stayers Hurdle, and Lom Press at 10-1 for the Gold Cup. I think Lom Press is the only one that's run since, won a handicap chase off a really, really high weight. And look, he's now about 7-1, I think, for the Gold Cup, and a real leading contender. So let's get into this month's episode. And Jack, you can kick things off. Who is the first selection for you this month?
I'm going to look to the Gold Cup, and it is the biggest price selection for myself so far. And it is going to be Ahoy Senor at 40-1 for the Gold Cup. Now, don't get me wrong, he jumps right-handed. He's absolutely mad. He's a ludicrous horse. But on his day, I mean, if you watched last time out at Aintree in the Medley Clouds, there was a few fences when he got into a rhythm in the middle portion of the race, when he does take a length out of whoever's in behind him, when he decides to actually jump straight, which is few and far between times. Now, he did travel like an absolute dream. He went odds on in play, 2 out. Looked like he was going to breeze home, but I mean, they finished at, I think it was 113% finishing speed. It turned into an absolute crawl and then a sprint at the end. Absolutely remarkable that Noble Yates had the turn of foot to put them to bed in the end. I think he's probably the most versatile horse in training. I was thinking of putting him up. I kind of narrowed the Gold Cup down to 3 now. I think Lom Press, Noble Yates, and Ahoy Senor. I'm not having Galopin de Champ until I've seen him in the John Durkin, and even until I've seen him over 3 miles over fences whatsoever. So I've narrowed it down to those 2, and I think 40-1 is just a little bit of a big price. I mean, he's so capable on his day. Of course, you look at what he has won. He won the John Frankham last year by 30 lengths. You look at the likes of Santini, Native Rare Earth, Thistlecracker all won that, and he won it by 31 lengths on the day. Yes, didn't really beat all that much, but I mean, on his day when he's allowed to go from the front and he decides to jump straight, I mean, he's absolutely electric. I mean, in the Charlie Hall, like last year at Carlisle when he unseated, he sometimes needs to run, and I think the run last time out in the Many Clouds is slightly being a bit overlooked. I think he travelled an absolute dream. Yes, he's a bit of a maniac at his fences, but if he decides to turn up on his day, 40-1, I just think it's too big a price.
Wow, you're more of a trustworthy bloke than I am. I've kind of given up with the Ahoy Senor train. I thought he had a major chance going into the season, but I just can't trust him, Jack. I'd rather have Noble Yates. But look, it's a fair selection, a decent price, could run a big each-way show. I mean, a lot of people were saying this horse was their Gold Cup horse at the start of the season at much shorter odds. And if you can keep the faith, then yeah, that 40-1 could look very big. I'm going to put up a 40-1 selection as well. I will join you, and it's in the Albert Bartlett, which is a horse called We've All Been Caught for the Nigel Twiston-Davies team. Now, Jack actually mentioned in episode 1 about Hermes Allen for the Paul Nicholls team. Now, this horse was in that Ballymore trial against Hermes Allen. If you watch the run back as they come around the home bend, this horse is off the bridle, about 20 lengths behind them all, and is staying on so noticeably. If you watch the race, you can definitely take note of this horse. And listening to Nigel Twiston-Davies' stable tour and what they said after the race is that this horse kind of reminds them of Imperial Commander. Now, that's a very big thing to say because obviously Imperial Commander was their Gold Cup horse, but you can obviously already see that this horse is going to make a really good staying chaser. And we often say this about Albert Bartlett types anyway, but I can't see this horse going down the Ballymore route. This horse is crying out for a trip and was actually entered in an Albert Bartlett trial at Cheltenham on the Saturday, where we didn't get any racing due to frozen ground, and was well backed for that prior to that getting cancelled. So there's obviously a lot of hype and a lot of thought going around this horse. And if he were to have gone and won that, he would have shortened up big time. So I'm going to take the chance now, 40-1. I think we've all been caught for the Nigel Swiston Davies team in the Albert Bartlett. That will be my selection. Jack, your second selection, please.
My second selection, no one is going to be surprised to see it. It comes in, of course, the Champion Chase. And who better would I be pitting up than the each way to nothing, Nube Negra, who is still 25-1. Look, Energumane was so impressive last time out, as was Edwardstone. Edwardstone, of course, won the Arc around here. But if you look what's in behind, John Bond's 16-1. He's clearly not going to go. Shishkin's 16-1. I don't know if he's quite the same as he was when he got that entry in the Champion Chase. Grenadine's 20-1. I think Nube Negra has the better of Grenadine after disappointing last time out at Sandown. You've got Blue Lord, Captain Guinness, Chacun Pour Soi, who knows what's happening to him, Galopin de Champ in behind at similar prices. And Nube Negra, we know this is going to be his target. Yes, he didn't really perform very well at Sandown last year. It was such a shame that he wasn't seen at Cheltenham after the Schlur Chase, because I really did fancy him for the Champion Chase. But of course, we had bottomless ground that day, on the day when Energumane got the better of Shishkin when he was pulled up in that Champion Chase. But I just think on decent ground, I think this race is going to cut up like anything. You've got the likes of Energumane and Edwardstone there. I don't know who's going to come and challenge Energumane, but I know that Dan Skelton, this is a place to send Nube Negra. He's only 8 years old. Let's not forget, he's only had 11 runs over fences. Energumane's had 9, but he is pretty much as unexposed as Energumane still. He still lightly races as an 8-year-old. He likes this decent ground, of course. It was pretty much a walkover in the 3-runner race last time out in the Schlur Chase in November. But look, if they keep him fresh, he's definitely going to go under the radar, and he's still 25-1. We know this is going to be the plan. Yes, you're probably going to be playing for second place instead of Energumane, but as soon as the without Energumane market comes about, I think Nube Negra is still a cracking price. If we get decent ground on the day, of course, it's a big if and a but if we do get that decent ground. But hopefully Nube Negra at 25-1 come the day isn't going to be the worst price in the world.
Last year, I absolutely slated you for this selection, and this year, I actually think it might not be the worst selection in the world. After Nube Negra won, I actually thought to myself, do you know what? This horse actually may go close if they keep him fresh and they get the ground. Because look, this horse probably should have won a Champion Chase or could have won a Champion Chase the year prior. I mean, it was an interesting race but I mean, you were gutted that year, weren't you, when coming behind and put the kettle on?
Yeah, I said he was the most unlucky horse of the year that year. I think he should have had. Yeah, don't even talk to me about it. He had to switch right later on. He was staying on the line. Yeah, he should have definitely won that Champion Chase.
May not have been the best Champion Chase, but look, it could go close this season. I really hope to see it. It'd be so good for you to land a Dan Skelton winner at Cheltenham. We've all been waiting for it. There is a T-shirt somewhere from last Christmas. I'm sure we'll get that out to play if it does.
Yeah, of course.
And some things never change on the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel, because me putting up a Gary Moore horse for a Triumph Hurdle is something that happens most years, and it's going to happen again. And a horse that actually we haven't seen yet, which is probably the big worry, the only worry about this horse. And it's a horse called Beau Zenith at 20-1 for the Triumph Hurdle. Now, you probably saw, what was it, a week back that we saw Blood Destiny win at Cork. Now, this horse was second at Auteuil behind Beau Zenith. And I know that from what I've heard is that the stable, I spoke to Niall about this, and Niall Houlihan, and he said, look, this horse is very exciting. I think he's going to be your typical quirky type for Gary Moore. Like, you're going to get a bit of a character like you did with Goshen, and obviously the late Porticello, who we sadly lost a few weeks back. But they do have some really exciting juveniles, and we know how well Gary does with these novice hurdlers. And, you know, he's got Authorized Speed, who looked sensational at Sandown, bar absolutely clattering the last, and Givega, who's a really exciting horse, by the way. Givega, but I'd probably say the ground needs to come up soft for that horse. But look out for Givega, because he's really talented. I think they hold him just as high regard as Authorized Speed. But Beau Zenith, I'm really excited to see this horse come out. I don't know what the plan is. You'd probably be very surprised if Gary went straight to the Chepstow Juvenile finale race. I think that'd be a really rogue thing to do, going to a Grade 1. But I'd love to see this horse run, you know, in the next few weeks. You probably want to see him before January, otherwise you'd be worried that we're not going to see this horse as a juvenile. But yeah, I'm going to go with Beau Zenith at 20-1. So we've got some big selections this week. Some really big selections. Jack's put up Nube Negra 25-1, a Hoist in your 40-1 for the Gold Cup. I've put up Bo Zenith at 20 to 1, and we've all been caught.
But on that, I just think single figure prices this year more than any year. There's such little value. I mean, the only single figure price, I suppose there was two single figure prices that I was thinking of putting up. King of Kingsfield for the champion bumper is already 9 to 1. I think that's pretty short. And then Lompreza, who says 6 to 1 at the moment. I just think there's not really too much value about it anyway. Lossymouth, of course, was impressive, but he's 3 to 1 for the Triumph already. I mean, everything is getting shortened by a point or two more than they should be. Facile Vega was relatively impressive enough. He's already even money. I just think it's absolutely ludicrous this year. And if you're not kind of looking for big double figure prices, I think it's going to be very hard to actually make it profitable.
Yeah, I think the Antepost markets, I mean, it's kind of got what you could say worse each year. The prices have shortened massively. And I mean, something to do with that. I mean, obviously, you know, we have so many of these YouTube channels previewing different racing and stuff like that. And it is great. But because there's so much talk around the Cheltenham Festival and the Antepost markets, bookmakers are just taking absolutely no chances, because I think more and more people each year are betting Antepost for the festival. I mean, one of the big talking points is the day one treble. You've probably seen it plenty online, Jack, which is the Facile Vega, John Bond, Constitution Hill treble. What was it, around 6 to 1? I've heard, I think, something around that. I mean, what do you make of that? People who are, I mean, I would never be backing that this far out. I mean, if you offered me that now on the day, I'd probably take it. I'm not going to be taking that Antepost.
No, look, I think we're 2 days shy of 3 months away from the festival, and you're hoping that all three turn up in great working order and put in 100% and win. 6 to 1, I think, is absolutely ludicrous, but hey, that's for another day.
I know, yeah. Look, especially like horses like John Bond, like the fact that, you know, we haven't seen any of these Willie Mullins 2-mile novice chasers. And a quick chat, Jacko, while we're on the Antepost series, just a quick chat about Honeysuckle, the news that potentially she could be going to the Mayor's Hurdle. Probably not what we want to see, but might be kind of the wise decision in trying to get her to win a race, you'd probably say.
Yeah, I think everyone. I think you can kind of. Yeah, she got beaten, but I mean, she held her head high. I don't know why everyone's kind of looking into it too much. It's only the reason that Constitution Hill's there. They're probably looking elsewhere. So no, it'd be intriguing to see which way they go.
It will be, and look, the Cheltenham Festival, we are slowly getting closer and closer. Like I said, the next episode, this won't be until 2023. But yeah, I'll put the selections on screen now so you can see those there. Some really big price selections there. And what we'll do in each episode is we will look at some of our previous selections from other episodes and discuss if there has been a price move, if a horse has run, and get our thoughts on whether we still fancy that horse, or if we think that bet slip is in the bin. But we'll be quite honest and open with regards to that. You can join us probably Christmas Eve for our Christmas preview. No official plans have been decided on what's going to be happening, but Jack and I will be doing something. We probably will be together for that, so it'll be a really good episode. We'll be looking at all the racing kind of leading up to probably New Year's Eve, and then we'll have another special out for Cheltenham, obviously, before the new year. But look, if you are enjoying these videos, do like, subscribe, share, and comment, and we will see you on Christmas Eve. Thanks for watching.